Hello and welcome to how to make them in Minecraft. Now there's a number of reasons as to why you might want to do this. You might want to make it for personal use, or you might need a quick injection of capital to keep you going. Healthcare is free where I live though, so I don't know, just thought I'd say. My friend Steve is wanting to start an enterprise. He's after cold, hard cash. Let's follow his journey as I teach him the ways of chemistry. But the first step in any journey is to make a new world. Steve's town, I like it. And here we are, a new world with infinite possibilities. But Steve, up here buddy, first off you're gonna have to play Minecraft. Get yourself some starting gear and I'll meet you back here. Whoa, that was fast. Steve, you work hard. Your first step is to find a source of resources to begin your empire. Find for me a village with a hardware store and a chemist, and then we can talk business. Aw, perfect. Convenient that they're right next to each other. Now, I'm going to tell Steve the exact lab equipment he needs to buy, but to maintain plausible deniability, you're going to have to figure out this one on your own. I recommend finding somewhere outside the village to begin your chemistry though. We don't want anyone smelling the chemicals you're mixing. They might tell the iron golems. An RV. Very original, Steve. Now, here's a suit to protect you from chemical burns and volatile chemicals. It's in your best interest to wear it, Steve. Looking good, Steve. And now you've got your protective gear on and you've got all your lab equipment, you know what it's time for. Steve, it's time for education. Hello class, settle down, settle down. Welcome to our lesson on how to make them. Listen closely and listen well. This is the butter to our amphetamine-riddled bread. Displayed here is the chemical structure of amphetamine. Let's break it down a little bit. This ring here is a benzene ring, which is a ring of carbon atoms with each carbon atom having a double bond, which is notated by the extra lines drawn in. Each carbon has a hydrogen attached to them, except the atom that continues along the chain. The benzene ring is the least important part of the amphetamine molecule for actually making them, so Steve, forget about it. The NH section here is known as an amine functional group. Our primary precursor chemical will also have an amine functional group, so it's important to note that we want this to stay the same. These other two sections highlighted here are simply methyl groups, carbon atoms with 3 hydrogens connected. These are not important to the procedure we will undergo, so forget about them too, Steve. Finally, right about here is an unassuming hydrogen atom. Now would be a good time to bring in the first ingredient to make them. This is the chemical structure of pseudoephedrine and the primary precursor for making them. These two compounds are very similar. What's the difference here, Steve? Steve? Okay, you're not listening, Steve. Pay attention, Steve! Pseudoephedrine has an OH instead of an H. That is the only difference. The only difference between an over-the-counter decongestant and a Class A controlled substance. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The studious members of the audience would suggest reducing pseudoephedrine to produce PEM. You would be correct. A reduction reaction in our case is the removal of oxygen from our compound, but generally a reduction reaction is the gain of electrons in a compound. But Steve, you don't need to know that. The actual procedure we will take to turn pseudoephedrine into PEM is a 2-step process, but we will get into more details when we get there. Okay Steve, I hope you wrote that down, cause now let's get to the procedure. Now Steve, I bet you're wondering, where can I get pseudoephedrine? Well, there's a number of ways. You could synthesize it, or you could extract ephedrine from the ephedra plant. Ephedrine and pseudoephedrine both work for our procedure, but I'm going to tell you a secret, Steve. You can buy pseudoephedrine over the counter at a chemist's, or pharmacy if you're American. All making sense now, Steve, huh? But before you go running around the pharmacy, I need to tell you what to buy. Pseudoephedrine is found in common over-the-counter decongestants. I won't tell you the exact brand to use, but I'm sure you can figure it out. Sounds a lot like pseudoephedrine. Pseudoephedrine. Anyway, excellent, Steve, you got him. Let's get back to the lab. Let's read the ingredients label and check some of those ingredients. It's all a bunch of rubbish. We only want the pseudoephedrine. An interesting point to note is that some brands of decongestants use phenylephrine instead of pseudoephedrine. Make sure you don't buy the ones with this instead, otherwise our procedure will not work. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly how to extract pure pseudoephedrine because every brand has different ingredients, but if you're a budding chemist, you could try design your own extraction procedure. For Steve's procedure, I'm going to give him a bit of a dirty one-size-fits-all procedure. This will affect the yield and purity of the PEM, but Steve's planning on selling it instead of having it himself, and we all know morals are a poor man's quality. Now, we're going to need a few ingredients before we begin.
Household solvent
Can be found at hardware stores and is a paint thinner. Distilled water can be bought at the hardware store as well. You can also find
organic alkali,
at the hardware store. Next, look for
chloride cleaning agent,
gas. If they don't have that at the hardware store, you can just make your own using
undisclosed process.
Now, again, I'm not going to tell you the exact measurements required, but I will tell Steve. Maybe he can fill you in. Again, plausible deniability. Now, let's begin. Let's start by grinding up the pills in a blender. Ensure you don't grind it too fine, but a kitchen blender shouldn't do that anyway. Next, add your solvent. In our case, we're using the
household solvent.
This is added to the pill powder to remove gumming agents that will gum up the procedures down the line. Remove the now gummed up solvent and leave the pill powder to dry. Next, Steve, add a small amount of water to the dry mix and use either coffee filters or a vacuum filter to filter the mix. Steve, I see you've got a vacuum filter there. That's good, that'll yield the best results. Once the cake from the filter has dried, another round of minimal water filtration is undergone. The reason we only use a small amount of water is due to the anti-extraction agents put into the decongestant medicine to stop us from removing the pseudoephedrine. Well, guess what? Steve and I are going to do it anyway. Anyway, to the water extraction, add
organic alkali
until the mixture reaches a pH of 12+. Now, you need to add a small amount of
solvent
to the water mixture, shake it, and you want to let it settle. Once it's settled, remove the solvent and filter it like you did before. Do it a couple times as well. Well done, Steve, you're an expert already. We're almost there though. Next, you want to bubble
chloride cleaning agent
gas through your solvent extract. This should precipitate pseudoephedrine hydrochloride salt crystals. Honestly, Steve, that was hard work, but I'm proud of you. You did listen after all. Now that we've isolated pseudoephedrine, we can start making them. But before we do that, it's time for another lesson. Hello class, welcome back to another chemistry lesson. Just a quick one today. Here on the board we have pseudoephedrine. Steve's very familiar with this chemical. Displayed here is the chemical we will turn our pseudoephedrine into. This chemical is known as chloroephedrine and is the precursor to our final product. Notice here how the OH group has been replaced by a single chlorine. Very interesting. We plan to then replace the chlorine with a single hydrogen to finally make our PEM. Let's begin. But Steve, see me after class, we need to go shopping. Okay Steve, I'm gonna be honest with you, we need a shit ton of matchboxes. Specifically, ones with strike pads on. You can get those anywhere. Nice. Next, we need
fluoride-based acid.
I think you can get this at the hardware store. You can probably learn to make it though. Next, we need
disinfectant
crystals. You might be able to get these at the hardware store, but pharmacies tend to sell
disinfectant
that you could probably extract some from. Ooh, Steve, did you see the way he looked at you there? I think they're onto you. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, let's begin our procedure. To begin with, we need to extract
red powder
from the matchboxes. This is a laborious task, Steve. Just scrape the strike pads with a knife to remove the powder that's on them. And once you've gathered enough, soak the mix in
fluoride-based acid
to extract the
red powder.
Next, we need to make hydroiodic acid. This can be done by adding
disinfectant
crystals to
red powder
suspended in distilled water. Good thing we got all that
red powder,
Steve. Make sure to mix this over an ice bath though, as it gets very hot. To this mix, we need to add more
red powder
and our pseudoephedrine hydrochloride salt. Attach a condenser to stop any gas from escaping. This stuff is very toxic, Steve. And once it's attached, boil the mixture for a full day at 120 to 130 degrees C. Wow, what a good job you've done. Oh shit, I forgot to say. You need to keep the temperature steady or it'll explode. Sorry, Steve. Steve, I am genuinely sorry, you are gonna have to get another RV. But at this stage, we have made chloroephedrine. Now we just need to turn it into PEM. Once the mixture has cooled, filter the mix again to remove any
Red powder.
suspended in the mix. Then you're going to want to add
Organic alkali.
to the extract to neutralize the hydroiodic acid, and a layer of free base amphetamine will form on the surface once the pH has reached 14 plus. Now Steve, use a solvent to extract the product. We will use our
Household solvent.
Make sure you let the solvent sit to allow for water to evaporate. Once done, bubble through more
Chloride cleaning agent.
gas and amphetamine hydrochloride salts will form. Your yield will vary, but this is our end product. Well done, Steve. You only died once. That's not bad. You're a real natural, Steve. Honestly. Good for you, mate. Alright, Steve. I'm gonna level with you for a minute. You stand now at a crossroad of fate. In your hand lies the key to your success or your downfall. Do you hoard the treasure you wield in your blocky midst and keep it for yourself? Or do you pave a dark road full of strife and anguish, all to get a chance to taste that glory you covet ever so? Take your time, Steve. This decision is not one to be made lightly. Excellent. I knew you'd make the right decision. First of all, you need an action plan. Listed up here is a couple goals you're gonna hit. We'll go through it once you get there, but before we begin, Steve, you have to promise me something. Never, I mean ever, use this stuff yourself. You need a clear head to be successful in this rat race. Can you promise me that? Yeah? Good. Let's begin. Alright, phase 1. Grow a loyal but small customer base. Get yourself out in the streets, Steve. Identify target customers by discussing drug habits while out in low-stakes social areas. Smoking areas and clubs are excellent places to do this. Once you've sussed out a potential customer, broach the topic of being a supplier. Rinse and repeat a few times, and trust me, Steve, with the stuff you're slinging, they'll be back. Keep getting out on those streets, slinging your stuff, selling to the same customers, but don't grow your customer base too much. That'll draw too much attention. Oh, nice, Steve. That's a decent chunk of dosh. Phase 2. Invest that money into buying a larger setup. You know, your RV served you well, but you need to increase production. Purchase a house, preferably with a basement and ideally away from any neighbors. Some drug-sniffing iron golems use chemical forensics and infrared imaging to find potential drug labs. A basement is ideal for hiding any heat being emitted from your process. And with good ventilation, your chemical pollution should be minimized. You don't have to decorate the house, but to lower the risk of an investigation, make the house look lived in. Have a regular schedule, so it seems like you work and lead an honest life. And for God's sake, Steve, don't get a big head. The house is only for you for the time being. I know you have a lot of money coming in, but you don't get rich by sharing your fortune. Oh, that's a lovely setup, Steve. This should work. Phase 3. Get a team. The shops are starting to get suspicious, Steve. If you keep buying ingredients at the same places, they're going to start to recognize you. Get a team of loyal friends together to go out and buy ingredients in their own local shops. They can even have items delivered to them. Just don't have anyone getting all of the supplies. Split it up between everyone. Your team can now start dealing while you're cooking, Steve. If you trust them, take a cut of the pay they make from selling them, or even put them on a decent payroll. If you don't trust them, allow them to buy them at a wholesale price, and then they can go out and sell it and keep all that money for themselves. Never try to sell for much more than it's worth, Steve. If your dealers are happy, they're less likely to make mistakes, and less likely to rat you out if caught. That's their livelihood in danger, after all. Just keep cooking, Steve. Phase 4. Expand! This is it, Steve. You stand now at the base of the mountain of growth. Get up and climb that mountain. Invest your new money in a new place. Hire people to cook for you. It's morally wrong, but people in desperate situations will salivate at the wages you'll offer them for being a cook. Look for people in extreme poverty, criminals having trouble looking for work, or anyone ostracized by society. These people all seek community, financial security, and comfort. Give that to them, and they'll never tell a soul what they do. Expand your production at every opportunity. Make your output exponential. Grow, 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 Steve! You should now have a legion of dealers slinging your in your city and nearby cities. Phase 5. More underlings. Get close, loyal, and trusted friends to set up their own franchises. They will hire their own workers and dealers. All that money is cut and funneled to you, Steve. Offer financial support and aid to new operations to show you can back them up. This will ensure they fill your pockets with as much money as you could need. At this point, the pressure's on. Law enforcement are desperate to track you down and put an end to what you're doing. Look at the city, Steve. Crumbling, decrepit, tarnished. This is your doing. Happy, Steve? You have your fingers in every city in the country, Steve. You better have protection for your enterprise. Safe houses, a militia, protections to keep you alive at all costs. I know you're a man of vanity, Steve, but you can't let the luxuries of life get in the way of success. Stay humble. Limit your personal spending. Money can be traced. Phase 6. Expand. We're here, Steve. It's time to go international. With operations popping up all across the country, you have enough to supply the world. Rinse and repeat the previous steps across the globe. At this point, law enforcement will be raiding your safe houses. With all the money in the world, you're too big to fail now. Pay off corrupt officials, buy people to defend your warehouses, put that money to use. Because once the international market opens up, infinity will not only be tangible, but yours to keep. Right, okay Steve, this is looking a bit harder than I forecast. You're losing a lot of warehouses. They're being raided. That's fine. Just reinvest. They don't know where you are yet either. So stay calm, stay focused. You have an army at your command. Make the right decisions and you'll be okay. Speaking of okay, look at you, Steve. On a literal mound of fortune. Is there not anything you cannot do? All the luxuries in the world. Is this what you wanted, Steve? If you want to keep this, you need to focus harder. Remember, Steve, you're not invincible. Regicide is a word for a reason. Let's look over your kingdom. Wow, phenomenal. Overall crime rate is at an all-time high. Unemployment has skyrocketed. You'd think we were in a zombie movie with the amount of drugged out zombies shambling through the streets, wouldn't you, Steve? This can all be attributed to your hard work, Steve. Success at the cost of everyone else. How proud I am of you, Steve. Say, what did you tell your militia to do anyway? Protect the warehouses, huh? So, who's guarding you right now? No one? Steve? Wait, Steve, is that a pipe on the floor? Steve! Have you been smoking your I told you not to! Paranoid! Why would your guards kill you to take over? Oh god, Steve, no. What have you done? Oh my god, Steve, I told you. I need to get out of here. Hey Steve, you've really let me down. I gave you direct instructions to follow, I warned you, and you didn't listen. I gave you all the power in the world, Steve. You could do anything you want, except one thing, Steve. One thing. Clear head, Steve. Does that not mean anything? I'm so fucking done with you, Steve. You wanted to be a big shot, I made you one. Raised you to heights you could never on your own. And you got so high you slipped and fell. Pardon me. Enjoy the rest of your life, Steve.
I'm fucking frying.